So the thing is, we'll start friction. Now you have to solve the previous chapter also. This chapter also will be similar, only one extra force will be added in the questions. No, only one extra force will be added in the questions. Whatever questions you will get in this chapter will be mostly similar to the previous chapter. Okay, so you may get some extra hand on this, and still you have to complete all the questions from the previous chapter also. All right. So what you have to do is you have to keep solving the previous chapter. We'll continue with friction now, okay? And we'll solve some questions in this chapter also. And again, you'll complete in the next class. You'll complete the previous chapter and this chapter, okay? So till now, what we saw is in the previous chapter, what we saw is all the planks, all the blocks which were moving were smooth actually. So there was no friction acting among the surfaces, right? Now, so now what we are going to study is we will add a friction component. So we'll see what friction actually is. Okay, so let's say there are two surfaces. So two surfaces are in contact with each other. Okay, so if two surfaces, surface A and surface B, let's say they are in contact with each other. So what will happen is, if there is relative motion between these two surfaces, relative motion means, so let's say this surface is moving with 5 meter per second, and this surface is also moving with 5 meter per second, then there is no motion between them, right? No, the both are moving together. So there should be some relative motion between them. Understood? No? So there has to be some motion between the surfaces. Okay, so when there is some motion, relative motion between the surfaces, you will experience a frictional force. Okay, so frictional force basically now it means that one surface restricts the other surface from moving. All right, no? Okay, so now the friction force is also a kind of a contact force one. Okay, so till now what we have studied is we have studied the normal contact force, the contact force which was acting normally upwards, right? Now this was the normal contact force. Okay, so now what will happen is, let's say this block is being pulled this way in this direction. So there will be a friction force on this particular, this block will experience a friction force, right, in the backward direction. So let's say I represent it with a small f. Okay, so this friction is also a kind of a contact force. This is also a contact force, because both of them are acting because two bodies are in contact, right? No, so the resultant contact force will be somewhere between this. Okay, so this is called the resultant contact force. This is the resultant contact force. Now, so anyways, when the questions will come for the resultant contact force, we'll see. So we just have to focus on friction now. So we have to focus in this chapter mostly on this. Now the problem is, this friction force will be depending on this also. Okay, depending on the normal contact force. Okay, so what happens is, the friction force acting between the surface depends also on the normal contact force which is acting between the surfaces. Okay, friction, all those things. Okay, so there will be some terms coming. So let's say what is static friction, we'll just study first. Okay, so what happens is, so let's say there is a block resting on a table. Okay, this is not moving. You just started applying some force, very small force. Okay, so what happened is, this block is still not moving. So let's say what you did is, you applied 2 newtons force, the block didn't move. You applied 3 newton force, the block didn't move. Now the case is, if you are applying 2 newton force and the block is not moving, that means there is some force backside that is also 2 newtons, then only the block is not moving. Understood? No? So if this F was 2 newtons, this frictional force was also 2 newtons, right? Now when you applied 3 newton, still the block is not moving. Okay, so if still the block is not moving, that means the frictional force has become 3 newtons. Understood? No? So this is the frictional force. So let's say you applied 4 newtons, you apply 4 newtons and still the block didn't move. Okay, that means again the frictional force is 4 newtons in the backward direction. That's why there is no movement in the block. Understood? No? So now let's say you applied 5 newtons and the block is going to move now. Block has just started moving. Okay, that means you have applied 5 newtons force and the frictional force is somewhat little than 5 newtons. Then only this block has started moving in this direction. You understood? No? See, okay, we'll write it less than 5. Don't worry. It will be actually, we will be writing less than or equals to only, because it has just started moving. Understood? No, we are talking about the point where it is actually just started moving. Understood? Okay, you just understand. Okay, it's less than 5. All right. So this means the frictional force, the static frictional force, is less than or equals to some value. It depends on, so see, the frictional force was 2 Newton, sometimes it was 3 Newtons, it was 4 Newton. Okay, so it became up to 5 Newton. Now this friction force has a capacity of up to 5 Newtons only, and it cannot increase after 5 Newton in this example. Okay, so this static friction will be having a maximum value in this case. So what we call is the friction, static friction, the maximum value of this is equals to mu into n, the normal contact force. So basically the static friction, the maximum value of it, okay, that is actually directly proportional to the normal contact force. So the maximum value of a static friction will be equals to a constant mu into the normal contact force, where mu is the coefficient of mu here is called as the coefficient of static friction. Static friction, we are just representing it with mu. The mu will depend on the surfaces, so I write mu s here, mu and a subscript s here to differentiate it from kinetic friction. Mu will be given for you. You understood the point? That means now let's say the same block, you are applying no force. Force is equals to 0 here. Okay, still the block is not moving. That means the force was equals to 0 here, and the friction force here was also equals to 0, right? No, that means the static friction on acting on a body can be between 0 to the maximum value, which is mu into n. Is it okay till now? Understood, no? The static friction acting between two surfaces will be between 0 and the maximum value which is given, mu s into n. Alright, so this is the case when the body is not moving, or in the case of static friction. Static friction means the body is not moving, or it has just started moving. Understood, no? So the maximum point is when it has just started moving. Before that, the friction acting was static friction. Yeah, the 5 Newton this side still is static friction only. Understood? No? Let's say it is 4.9999 something. So that was the static friction maximum value. When you put 5 Newton, it started moving. So when it started moving, again a different kind of a friction force will be acting. You understood, no? Okay, so you understood static friction what it is. So the static friction will be acting when the bodies are not moving. The static friction force will be actually resisting the body from moving. I mean the surfaces from moving. Okay. Now let's see what is kinetic friction. Okay. So what happens is kinetic friction is the same when there is already a movement, when there is relative motion between the surfaces. When there is relative motion already, I mean the bodies are moving, then we will apply the friction force, which we will call as the kinetic friction force. Now the thing is that same block, let's we are saying that same block. Now you are applying 6 newtons force. Okay, and it's moving with an acceleration a. Okay, so now how you will draw the free body diagram? You are having 6 newtons of force here. There is an acceleration a in this direction, and there is some frictional force. There is some frictional force acting on it. So this frictional force is called as kinetic friction, because the body is not at rest now. The body has started moving, so different kind of a friction force will start acting. So again, this frictional force will again be written as mu into n. Understood? Same formula. But this will be equals to, and this will be coefficient of kinetic friction. Now this is not going to change. This will be given for the surfaces. Understood, no? But static friction may vary from anything from 0 to the maximum value. Understood, no? The 0 to the maximum value. But this kinetic friction will be always be a constant. I mean it will be given. The coefficient of kinetic friction will be given there. Now one thing you have to know is the coefficient. I wrote mu k. I already written. I mean maybe 10 seconds. Okay. Fine. There is a network lag. Okay. Anyways, we'll continue because the thing is, maybe in a few days my network will be corrected. I don't know. No. Come back again. What you? No, I'm not getting you. What are you telling? Hotspot is there. No, I think. Okay. Anyways, we'll continue. So you have to later on you can watch the video also. One thing you have to understand is mu k will be less than, okay. So what happens is basically, let's say, when the body starts moving, no, the friction force actually becomes less. How it is so is at the micro, you need not worry about this for solving the numericals, but the thing is at the microscopic level, no, the surfaces will always be somewhat rough. Okay, so when the body starts moving, it starts making the surface a little bit of smoothness will come in the surface. Understood, no? So whatever the friction force was acting in the static position, it will become slightly less than that after the body is moving. So kinetic friction is always less than the static friction. That's what we call. Understood, no? So what actually happens is the surfaces becomes relatively smoother when the body is moving. Understood, no? So kinetic friction basically will be less than the static friction. This up to this point it's clear, no? So what we studied is we studied static friction when the bodies are not moving, and we saw that static friction acts only when the force starts acting. Initially, it will not act. Okay, no. So static force will be zero. Static friction will be zero. When you start acting, applying a force, still the body will resist from moving, and the static friction will also start increasing according to your force. But this static friction. So what we discussed is uh, static friction will be varying from 0 to some maximum value, after which the body starts moving. And when the body starts moving, the friction force which will be acting is called as the kinetic friction force. Okay, and we also saw that the kinetic friction force will be slightly lesser than the static friction force. I mean the maximum value of the static friction force. Okay, now, so the maximum value of the static friction force, it will be kinetic friction will be lesser than that. A formula is same, okay, but the coefficient of frictions will be different given. Sometimes it will be given for coefficient of kinetic friction or coefficient of static friction. Okay, so static basically means up to the point where the body is not moving, the static friction will be acting. Understood? No, because you can try. You can put a book on the table and try pushing it. Starting from zero, you can go on increasing the force. So at one point, the book will start sliding. So that means up to that point, static friction was acting, and when the book has just started sliding, after that the kinetic friction starts acting. So this chapter is having only this much. Three questions, and there will be something which formula and all we have to apply. You can read the chapter also. So before going into those, okay, banking and all it is not required right now. Okay, fine, fine. Anyways, that's it for the chapter. We just have to apply only those things. Banking will come in your circular motion. Nothing else in this chapter. So we'll see the questions. So the questions will be pretty similar to the previous chapter. Only thing will be you will be having an extra friction force added. Okay. Okay. So we'll see a few questions. So let's say we just start with a simple question. So let's say this is the question. So there is an inclined plane. Angle is 30 degrees. It is already moving. Okay. So the question is starting from rest, it has covered 8 meters in the first 2 seconds. Okay, so the block has moved up to 8 meters in the first 2 seconds. Okay, so the block has moved 8 meters and the time taken is 2 seconds. So we need to find what is the friction force acting on this block. Okay, now the initial velocity was given as 0. So the block has started. We have to find the coefficient of kinetic. Yeah, but if you find coefficient of, I mean frictional force, then you'll anyways know what is the coefficient of kinetic friction. No? So first, let's see how you are going to solve this. So then only you will be able to know what are the kind of forces acting on this block. Okay, so can you first find what is the acceleration within these 2 seconds? This movement is there, no? So what is the acceleration of the body? Distance is straight there, time is there, initial velocity. Why do you come back to some unnecessarily formulas? You have three formulas. No, I told you that only those three formulas are applicable in all this kind of situations. Initial velocity is given, time is there, 8 meters distance is there. What is the acceleration? You tell me. How are you going to find it? I need the acceleration. So s is equals to ut plus half at square. You can apply, right? 4. So acceleration we are getting 4 meter per second square. All right. Now the thing is, Earlier, how you used to do it? Earlier, what we used to do is we just knew that there is a force acting on this mg, and we knew that the acceleration is g in this direction, and the component of g will be there in this direction. Understood? No, only that much we used to do. Now the thing is there is an extra force coming in picture, so we'll try to analyze that force also. Okay, now tell me, so this is the force acting on the body. So there is one mg force. We are drawing the free body diagram. There will be a normal contact force. So there will be a normal contact force vertically upwards. What is the other force acting? Frictional force will be acting in the opposite direction, in this direction, right? So that will be your, since it is a kinetic friction, so that will be equals to mu into n. Okay, so mu, what is mu? You have to find it. So if you see this, this was 30 degrees. So this will be 60 degrees, so this is 30 degrees again. So the direction of motion is this way. So what we are going to do is we are going to take one component in the direction of motion and the other component vertical to the direction of motion. So the vertical to the direction of motions, nothing is there, so all the forces cancel out. So n is equals to mg cos 30 degrees, right? Now, so this force and the component of mg here will be cancelling out, right? Now the other force is what? In this direction, what are the forces in this direction? Some component of this is the one, this is one force which is acting, some component of this will be acting in this direction. So mg sine theta is acting there, so mg sine 30 degree. Okay, so since the body is moving, that's why the question is also being asked for the kinetic friction. Understood? No, so the kinetic friction is a fixed value, so it is acting mu into n. All right, so this is equals to the mass into acceleration. So mg into sine 30 is how much? Half minus mu into what is n? And you can get it from here. Mg cos 30 is how much? Root 3 by 2. So you can get it like this. That is equals to m into a you already have. So that is 4. So m is of no meaning here. So you can get, sorry, yeah, mu is here, no? So you have to get mu. So what it will be? Mu g root 3 by 2 is equals to g by 2 minus 4. Okay, all right. So how much it is? So so mu is equals to, let's say we take g as 2, sorry, 10. So 5 minus 1, 4 is 1. So the first question, you have to find the acceleration of 1 kg block. So whatever, all the accelerations will be equal only. The tension in the string connected to 1 kg blocks. So this tension you have to find between you have to find this tension and the tension in the and this tension also. So both the strings tension you have to find, and you also have to find the axis. Okay, now the thing is, so first thing is, okay, so 0.5 z. Okay, so we take it as t1 here because there are two different strings. So it is 1g downwards, so n upwards. Yeah, this tension will be here and friction force will be here. That will be equals to mu into 0.2 into, and this is the maximum value which it will be having. And there is also one force now, this tension. Let's say this is t2. Let's see it from the beginning. So this is, let's say this is a, this is b, and this is c. So the 0.5 kg block, let's draw the free body diagram. Okay, so this is c. So what are the forces acting? 0.5 g and a tension t1 upwards. So this is the tension t1 t upwards. Let's assume that the body is moving with an acceleration a down. That static friction is, see, the static friction is it's given, so we don't know whether it is so let us first come to a conclusion whether it is moving or not. Yeah, t1 in this direction, right hand side, t2 in the opposite direction. So there is a frictional force 0.2 into n. This is the friction force. Okay, this is the maximum friction which can act. Okay, there is an n normal contact force upwards. Yeah, this is 1g downwards. And what is the force acting on the third block, the block A? T2 in the right direction, 0.2 into the normal contact force. The normal contact force here, let's say n, and here it is 1g. Now let's say all these bodies were moving, no? Let's say the acceleration a. Now can we solve something for this particular equation, for this particular question, for this particular body A, the first body, that is n equals to z. So that means t2 minus n that is g is equals to mass into acceleration, right? So let's say the acceleration is a. Now can we write the third equation? 0.5 z minus t1 is equals to 0.5 in the acceleration. Now if we sum all these equations, you're able to see the equations, no? So if you sum all these equations, can we get something? Everything got cancelled. If we get a positive value, then our assumptions will be correct. If we get a negative value of acceleration, that means the body will not be moving at all, because it cannot move in the negative direction. No, it cannot move. In this case, it cannot move in the opposite direction without any reason, right? No, so we have assumed. Let's say it is moving. So if we get some positive value, that means it should be our assumptions are correct. Because right now we don't know whether it is moving or not. So how much we are getting? Zero point 0.5 minus zero point 0.2 minus 1.5, right? 2.5. So that means the acceleration comes to be zero point 0.1 by 2.5. Okay, so 1 by 25. So that means our assumptions are correct, right? There is no issue in that. So we that the body is moving actually. Okay, now when you have got this, can you find the other part? So let's say if we assume g in this one, let's say if you assume g as 10 and by 25, then how much it comes? Point. So let's say this is the answer. Can you calculate the tension in the string combining the 1 kg? We have to find T2. So we have three equations, no? If we take the first one, so T2 is equal to point 4 plus, so that is 2.4 newtons, right? Okay, so what about the C? That is T1. Okay, third equation, or you can use the second equation also, because already know T2, right? So anyways, if you use the third equation, so it is 5 minus T1 is equals to zero point 0.5 into acceleration is 0.4. So T1 is equals to 5 minus 0.02. No, have we done some mistake? 0.5 into G is 5, no? Okay. Minus T1 is equals to zero point 0.5 into acceleration is 0.4. So it will be 0.20, no? So it is 0.20. That means T1 becomes 4.8 meters per second. That is force. So it is 4.8 newtons. So you understood now how you are going to solve the questions related to frictions. Okay, let's say this 15 question will get. Now the thing is, a very important thing you are going to understand from this question. Now, let's say this Superman, no, he can run at a infinite speed, let's say, but the speed at which he can run on a ground doesn't depend on his capacity. Understood, no? So let's say you are a very good marathon champion and you can run. Is your speed will not be determined by your capacity. Your speed will be determined because by the coefficient of friction between your shoes and the, okay, no? So what is the force when you are moving on a ground? Which direction can you tell me which direction the frictional force acts? No, it acts in the forward direction. So when you are moving on a ground, no, so when let's say this person is moving on a ground in this direction, the friction force acts in this direction only. See, what happens basically is on the surface, you will be putting your foot something like right, no, and you are trying to push it backwards, and then the ground will push you forward. There will be friction force on this, and then only you are able to move forward. Just assume that you are standing on ice and you try to run. You cannot run, right? Because there is no friction force. So that means there was the friction force was actually allowing you to run. Alright, no, the friction force was the force which was actually allowing you, I mean, acting on the in the forward direction for you to run or for you to. So if there is no friction force for in the forward direction, that means the friction force was acting in the forward direction. So that's the same thing here. The Superman can run, I mean, much faster, but his speed will be restricted with respect to the friction coefficient between the, because at one point what will happen is he will start slipping. If he goes on increasing in speed, there will be one point coming where the he will start slipping on the ground. So that will be the maximum speed which he can actually run on the ground. You would have tried, no, something like let's say you are trying to run on a slippery subsurface. So there will be one minimum, there will be one maximum speed only with which you can walk on that. If you try to increase that speed, you are going to slip, right? No, so that the friction force was the force which was actually allowing the person to walk or to understood. So what we will do here is we will assume that this person is uh, taking to the maximum of the friction whatever is available on the ground, and he is using that force to run. So what is the maximum friction force which can act on the ground? So let's say the Superman is here. So let's say the friction force is acting in the forward direction. Okay, so that will be equals to mu into, and that will be the maximum static friction. Yeah, it depends on the weight. So weight is acting mg, and this is the normal contact force. So the maximum friction force which he can use is zero point 0.9 into, that means 9. So he cannot have any more acceleration than 9 meter per second, which he takes in completing the 50 meters where he has started from. Yeah, the u equals to 0. Time we have to find, and acceleration is given as 9 meter per second square, and the distance is given as 50 meters. Half into t is equals to 100 by 9 root, so 10 by, 10 by 3 seconds he is going to take. That will be the minimum time he can take, so he cannot take much lesser than this. He has to take at least this much. Okay, let's say now suppose he has taken this much of time. Now he has to stop. Okay, now what is the time he will suppose he takes exactly this minimum time to complete the 50 meter. What minimum time will he take to stop? Again, after just as he completes the 50 meter, no, he applies brake. Let's say a brake means he just stopped his foot. Now he's trying to stop himself. Again, he's going to take some time in stopping him, and that stopping of himself will also be depending on the friction, because he's not moving. He's just putting his leg like this. Understood? No? So like he's just putting his leg in this direction, both the legs, so that he is stopping. So what will happen is now the friction force will stop. So again, now you now how much time he is going to take to stop him? How you are going to calculate? Same. So v is equals to 0 here. You don't know the acceleration. Yeah, acceleration you know already, because the same acceleration will be acting, no, 0.9. Same d acceleration will be acting. So same force acts in the opposite direction, so the acceleration will be 9 meter per second. The initial speed for this part. Right? So u is equals to 0, a is 9, and t is how much time he has taken. So that is 30 meters per second is the initial final speed for the first. So that will be the initial speed for the, yeah. You will get the same time. U minus 80. Yeah, you have to take minus retardation. It is the acceleration. You know, so the acceleration will be negative. Okay, so the same answer you are going to get. So t is equals to 10 by 3 seconds. Yeah, again he will take 10 by 3 seconds to stop himself. So okay, we'll close for today then, Hari. Okay. So what you can do is at least up to 15 questions you will try in this chapter also. So we'll close for today. All right.